Hey, this is News from Heaven, and we're going to talk today about how to get your body and your mind turned toward heaven. Because I've heard all about this, you know, the spirit is the mind, and you got to think right about good things, and you'll be connected to. But the body, the actual physical stuff, can be affected. I don't know if that's even what we're saying today, but it would be nice if it is. We'll check the text, because owning a body is a big liability. It's problematic. I mean, the thing seems like it's constantly trying to not fall apart, and wouldn't it be great if there's some way we can connect it into something that is order and is insight? Or there's also some other interesting things we'll learn as well. Man, am I a good salesman. Okay, we've got a point. We got to focus in on that, which is, can we connect to order in all parts of our being? And that order should lead us to how we feel like life should be. It doesn't seem appropriate that our mind is such a confusing place to live, that the world is so cold and unfeeling, that human beings have such a hard time getting along with each other, even though we're so similar in that we are all conscious and want things that help and don't want things that hurt. What is the deal? Why can't everything just be good? Well, maybe it's a question of order or out of order, and how do we restore that order? Thank you. There was a chair in the frame and we moved it, which I wasn't supposed to call attention to. But you can't. If there's a chair in the frame, how are any of you going to learn anything good? Okay, this is Divine Love and Wisdom 137 to 139. It's called the chair effect. They did this study at MIT that whenever you're looking at a chair, you immediately relapse into a childlike state. I'm lying. 137. Given the fact that the deeper levels of the mind, we're going to start out throwing the gauntlet down right away. Given the fact that the deeper levels of the mind act in unison with the deeper levels of the body. What do you mean, given? Okay, we'll get back to that in just a second, but let me blew the whole thing. It follows that when the deeper levels of the mind turn toward the Lord as the Son, the deeper levels of the body do the same. Okay, now we're working with power. So there's deeper levels of the mind. And according to Swedenborg, like, the mind is not just a brain. Your spirit is actually, believe it or not, as beautifully shaped as this stick person. That the spirit is the conscious part of you, but the conscious part of you has a form like your whole body. Actually, the form of the body is modeled on top of the form of the mind, spirit, rather than the other way around. And that there are deeper levels of the body. So there's what's physical here. If you want to see a drawing of that, look down on the screen. I don't know exactly where the deeper levels begin. There's times when Swedenborg talks about levels, and he says it's actually a very cool way of looking at levels of life. And we recognize these if we're looking at the body. There is like the organ level, the tissue level, and then the cellular level. So you have a heart, and that's a thing, and it does something. You can look at it as a unit and say, you're doing something. But did you know, if you zoom into that something, you can say there are these muscle tissues in there. There is this pieces of material that work together in unison that you can really see accomplish a function or something. Hi, welcome to Biology 101. I am sorry that I'm your teacher. But if you zoom, so you could just look at it from a tissue level and look at the body from all these different tissues that do all these different things. But if you zoom in farther, you can see that there's these individual units called cells. And each of those is a kind of level. So are we talking about, and somebody who really knows this Swedenborg stuff could know this right away, but are we talking about, or maybe they couldn't, I don't know. Are we talking about the deeper levels of the body? How deep are we going? Are we talking about on the cellular level? There's some intimate connection with the spirit. Are we talking about below that into like atomic or subatomic, or is it not just decreasing size? Is it that there's some things that are almost midway between the physical and the spiritual? I don't know, but I will know that I want them turning toward heaven. It follows that when the deeper levels of the mind turn toward the Lord as the Son, the deeper levels of the body do the same. And one reason why you wouldn't mind turning toward the Lord as the Son is that this Lord as the Son of the spiritual world is not just because it's a bright shiny friend. And believe me, that's a great reason to turn. When you read those near-death experience stories about people saying they meet this light, I once had a guy who had one that I knew in real life, had a near-death experience, and he was saying being in that light was like a Christmas morning as a kid, every time I've ever fallen in love, the best friendship, jacked up times a million. To think that's great, and to meet that and it loves you, that's great. But also, what Swedenborg goes into depth about is that this sun radiates out love, but also order. That everything that is organized in a complex way that does something useful, that's coming out of this divine design or this divine order. So actually the form of the human body is divine order, because we are the microcosm, we are the smallest level. On a larger level, there's the community that you could call, any individual community of people functions like a body because people perform the different functions here. And then you zoom up a level, and there's actually all of heaven together is like a human being, because some people are protecting and keeping out, some people are stabilizing, some people are circulating. And then if you really look, that's all based on God is the essence of humanity. So the human form and health connected to it is order. So I wouldn't mind tying into the sense of that as my body continues to try to slide into all these kinds of disorder. And then you have to go to the doctor, and it just takes forever. The waiting room. Hey, I showed up here for a 1:30 appointment, and now it's 2:15, and you didn't take me back yet. Sorry. The outer does what it does at the prompting of the inner. So we're talking about the outer levels of the body and the mind. Oh, I think I didn't even read this sentence. Why not? Further, since the outer levels of both body and mind depend on their inner levels, they behave in the same way. Okay. We've got a parallel system where your mind has inner and outer levels, your body has inner and outer levels. The outer does what it does at the prompting of the inner, since a collective body derives its whole nature from its specific components. We can see from this that because an angel is turning face and body toward the Lord as the sun, the inner levels of that angel's body and mind have been turned in that direction as well. In the spiritual world, should you ever end up there, everybody does, so maybe we should get ourselves trained for it. There is a direction is meaning-based. So, and it's a little bit complex, because Swedenborg will talk about interacting with angels and spirits just like we interact with people. You can have conversations with them, you can walk around them. So obviously they can face different directions, but there is an essential level at which everybody turns toward what they love. So you're either turning toward, and we're doing this in the world too, you're either turning toward loving things that are problems, like loving power over other people for no kind of use, loving dysfunctional stuff, just loving some kind of sensory rush that destroys the rest of what we're doing, loving evil of all kinds, whatever, stealing, whatever it is. Really all boils down to love of self-image and love of material gratification. So you can turn toward that, or you can be turning up towards the Lord. And angels in their deeper levels, no matter where they're facing, what they're doing, are just always focused on the Lord. And that's a great way to put it, because the mind is focused on the Lord. So you can be talking about and doing all kinds of things, but why? Why are you doing those things? What is your purpose? I've come to this place and I'm doing these details. What is the overall thing driving me? When it's the Lord, you're facing the Lord. The outer does what it does on the prompting of the inner, okay? Since a collective body derives its whole nature from its specific components. We can see from this that because an angel is turning face and body toward the Lord as the sun, now we have sort of the backstory on this sentence that I've read 14 times, the inner level of that angel's mind and body have turned in that direction as well. It is the same with us. I am not here trying to tell you all about stuff that doesn't apply to you. Why would we want to dive into this stuff if it wasn't relevant to what we're doing? But more importantly, how could something be true about one part of reality if we are indeed positing that this is how things are really structured? How could something be true about one part? It's not relevant to the rest of it. That's not how it works with the rest of what we do know about reality. If you go and study the physics that are occurring inside the belly of some star, that's the same systems that are occurring inside of us. So how could it be that we could go learn something about the condition of life after death that doesn't apply in some way to us now? If we constantly keep the Lord before our eyes, okay, and how do you do it? How do you turn towards the Lord? Which happens if we are engaged in love and wisdom. Oh, that's it. I thought it would be, can pray a lot. I don't know. Read a lot of books that are sacred. Engage in love and wisdom. Engage in right motivation and right thinking as best we have it. It's actually not even necessary that we have the right ideas. It's that we are acting on the ones that we believe sincerely are right, because then you have the right motivation, which is really the core of it. Then it is not only our eyes and face that turn to him, it's our whole mind and our whole heart. That is, everything in our intention and mind and everything in our body at the same time. I don't know. I just was fascinated when I started reading this. Does that mean that you could actually have some kind of physical benefits, some kind of tangible benefits to all this stuff? I sure do know that stress changes the makeup of the body. And just recently, I was feeling very stressed and very symptomatic. Like I had headaches and all kinds of back stuff. And I did try to consciously, okay, I actually believe that there is this guiding force that's taking care of all of life. You know what? I don't know why we're going through this right now, but okay, even though usually I get mad at you in these circumstances, I'm going to say, okay, I trust what you're doing here. I'm saying I felt a difference. And people can say that's placebo effect. Well, maybe that's what placebo effect is. Or something. Like having the peace is what we're talking about here. The peace that you get from having a picture of what's going on that is peace-inducing is that health benefit that you get from counteracting your stress. What he's talking about here, nobody knows. None of us. Unless you know, and then thank you for humoring me. This turning toward the Lord is an active turning. It is a kind of lifting up. We are actually lifted into heaven's warmth and light. And this is accomplished by an opening of our inner reaches. That is talking about now. And I love this phrase of opening of the inner reaches. If you've ever just felt like everything's a mess in my mind, everything's a mess in my life, everything's a mess in my body. The idea of having, the inner reaches, let's say we get down to some sort of cellular level and things are reflecting this chaos here, not even, whatever, some kind of small level, and here we are reflecting that chaos, right? And the idea of, rather than how do we go in piece by piece and fix it, it would just take such an army of effort. But to say, look, there's a solution, which is this stuff over here, this shiny yellow, this is love and order. This is absolutely all the medicine we could need to get hooked into this. And I don't mean you don't need physical medicine. I'm just talking about, because I realized when that came out, I'm like, wait a second, there are plenty of stories of religious people saying, all I need is to think about God. And no, God, even if you were to get fixed by this, I would imagine part of it is okay, allows you to drop the kinds of stress and stuff that are harming. Maybe you're getting the right ideas to go seek the proper treatment. Who knows? I don't know. That's not the point. The point is we've got inner reaches of body and mind that are all messed up, and what you do rather than okay, I'm going to figure out how to fix all these, is all they need is to open, that all the stuff is here, and they can just plug into this complete network that will do its work over time to start to heal the process. The team of experts is there at some level. It's an awesome idea. I don't know how it plays out, but I sure am talking about it. When these things have opened, love and wisdom, come on, how can you not like this description? Love and wisdom flow into the deeper reaches of our minds, and heaven's warmth and light flow into the deeper reaches of our bodies. So somehow, don't people say, if you're trying to get into a peaceful state of mind, picture yourself in a warm, healing light that reaches into your arms, and now it's in your chest, and now it's in your head, and that makes you feel good. Could that literally be happening on a certain level. This results in a lifting, as though we were brought out of the mist into clear air, or out of the air into the ether. Further, love and wisdom, together with their warmth and light, are the Lord with us. The Lord, who is already noted, turns us toward himself. So not only do we get order in there, but we get good professional direction management. Like, okay, I'm going to show you where to go, because that would be awesome to say, look, who's your life coach? That's God. The opposite holds for people who are not engaged in love and wisdom. Okay. And all the more for people who resist love and wisdom. I don't want this stuff. This is going against, again, I'm up over here and I'm turning to focus on this stuff. And love and wisdom is an effort, a perpetual effort to say, look, drop this stuff. This stuff is not going to help you. It's not going to help anyone. Even though it promises short-term gains, the real stuff is up here. If we love this, I don't want, love and wisdom doesn't feel like love and wisdom. It feels like this is annoying and this is ruining what I'm trying to do. Just in case you think, why would you ever, we can talk about it like it's some other people, but I'm definitely get into states where I'm like, oh, I don't want that. Especially if my evils are going well for me, like, oh yeah, I'm winning against whatever. I don't want to hear that God is actually the one with all the power, or we should love our enemies, or what. I just want to win. And when they are closed, love and wisdom, the deeper reaches of their minds and bodies alike are closed. And when they are closed, then their outer natures resist the Lord, because this is their inherent nature. This is why such people turn away from the Lord, and this turning away is a turning toward hell. You could say that's what hell is this turning away from love and wisdom. This act of turning toward the Lord comes from love and wisdom together, not from love alone or wisdom alone. This togetherness being the essence of the divine plan. Love alone is like a reality with no manifestation, since love makes itself manifest in wisdom, and wisdom without love is like a manifestation with no reality, since wisdom is the manifestation of love. And if you want to get a micro picture of what it's all about, you have these two things which are equally important but absolutely need each other to be anything, and this can be like, we can be one of these. It can be us and God. I would say that's a bit serious assertion to say that God is nothing without us. It's not true, but, well, if you're looking at the goal of God's goal, which is the Lord's divine providence has its end, a heaven from the human race, God can't, to achieve that goal, if we don't go along with it, God can't be in heaven alone and be happy. That's a whole other discussion. The point is to have two things that both are different but absolutely need each other to be something. That somehow is the core of love. There's actually a kind of love apart from wisdom, but it is ours and not the Lord's. Meaning this is not about the whole. This is about us in opposition to the whole. There's also a wisdom apart from love, but while it comes from the Lord, it does not have the Lord within it. It's like sunlight in winter. It does, of course, come from the sun, but does not have within it the essence of the sun, its warmth. Really, you don't ask somebody, like, is it sunny or not sunny? Or is it dark? Is it a nice day? A nice day is both of those things. So we have some kind of layer in us. Deep down, we can be reaching to these things, this love and truth. We get that. That's something you can try to live by. But that somehow that can also come down into the level of the body. That there can be, just like, look, there's this harmony in everything. There can be this same harmony with mind and body. And from all that, we can invite this order in to bring us what? To bring us the peace that we're looking for. The peace that this whole thing was about. How do we get out of where we are now? Well, really, it's just see what's actually there. And that actually there is pouring down like the sun on a nice day. We just got to figure out how to step outside. And that's the news from heaven. Thanks, everybody. Let me know how it works for you. Does it do anything good? Leave a comment. We would love to not only hear from you about its impact, but what other insights do you have? I was just reading this passage in Swedenborg where he's talking about nobody's idea can be understood exactly the same by any two people, that everyone has their own unique perception of it. So you offer perspective onto anything that nobody else in the universe who has ever existed can. So sharing that increases all of our knowledge base, which is just like those two little boxes. We need each other to be this whole sort of thing. If you want to hang out and look into this stuff even more deeply, check out the Off the Left Eye experience, which is coming up this summer. We'd love to see you there. And I would love to see you again, next video. So click on one and let's do it again.